So yeah, the general idea here is that with Rapid Review, it's a forensic tool that is a server-based analytic tool that would allow you to feed in a certain amount of video from a certain amount of cameras. The server is going to analyze everything, and it's going to kind of categorize all the bits of metadata for those to all be searchable. And then at that point, what you're able to do is be able to add this to any designated number of cameras on the system. So I always like to use an example of maybe a school. Maybe a school's got 40, 50 cameras on the property, but maybe they only have like a handful of cameras that they really would want to be able to use this tool on. Ultimately, we'd recommend it on all cameras, but even if it's on a select handful of cameras, maybe in the more densely populated areas where there's a lot more activity and a lot more info that you're going to have to sift through, this can help to narrow stuff down. So when we're looking at Rapid Review, what we're seeing here is going to be just individual cases, and you create a case, and then you basically fly in whatever cameras that you're going to want to be able to search on. Create your case that way. So I want to give you an example of my most common one that I like to use is this law enforcement case here. And so this was based off of a drug house and trying to figure out the activity around a drug house. So when we open up a case here, what we're seeing is on the left, we're going to see the 3 individual cameras that are associated with this, or actually 4 cameras here that are associated with this case. We're going to have this main street here. We're going to have where the house is located, some neighborhood buildings in the area here, and then a convenience store where some additional activity for some of the selling of drugs was occurring here. So these would be our 4 camera feeds that are coming in. It's going to show us the number of searchable bits of metadata that are on each of these. That's going to be in the green. And then over here, we're going to have a combined amount of different bits of data that we're able to search on here. And then this is going to just do little, basically, thumbnails of all of the main things that we're actually searching on here. So the way that we start to use this is that we can go into a camera specifically. So I'll open up this main road, and then what's going to happen is that we're going to see an overlay of every bit of activity here. So this is not the world's busiest street. People are not getting run over by cars. But what we can start to do is, click on a car or a person or whatever. And then if I click it a second time, I'm going to be able to actually just view that original video, specifically just this video associated with this car. Now, I can do from here things like search based off appearance similarity. So if I just click appearance similarity here, be able to see how many times this vehicle showed up. And I'm actually just doing a quick search. I'm not sure if it happened multiple times, but so here's some similar looking vehicles. In this case, that's not going to necessarily be what we need to look for, but just an idea of how similarity appearance works. I'll give you another example of that here in a second, just so you can kind of see how it works with people, which is a little more of a common way that we can get multiple hits. But so what I can start to do is nail down what I want to search on. So in this case, we have at least a little bit of information that we're going off. We've got this particular house right here is the house in question, this big yellow house. And so if I want to find out information based on maybe activity around that area, I can even start with things like a path of where people are kind of going, or number of people that are going into a certain area. And I can also do heat mapping, things like that from here. So underneath the particular video that we're searching on, we've got these additional tools here. So I've got area of interest, I've got path, and then line crossing. And if I hit this, it's got another layer called the visual layers, and this would be like basically heat mapping. So if I click on the heat map here, something stands out to me right away. Obviously a lot of activity on the road from all the vehicles, but in terms of the sidewalk, all pretty standard until we get to this house. And then we've got a lot of activity right here at this entrance. So that's an indicator that something unique is happening in that house. I can also, like I said, do a path. So if I want to be able to do like a path drawing up these stairs here and apply this, get rid of my heat mount. So I'm not getting rid of it. There we go. Okay, so now if I just have this path that I want to be able to draw, it's going to start to show me all of the activity of people going into this house. So if I even sped up this video, I can see how many people are going into this location. This is showing me that there's 190 times that somebody went into this location here throughout the course of this day. Now, one thing to kind of point out here is that when we're looking at this, is that what we're seeing here for this full video is I've got a 12-hour period of time that we have now in a 15-minute viewable video. So because we've condensed everything down and we have all this overlaid, I can watch everything that's happened on this camera within 15 minutes as opposed to having to sift through 12 hours of video. So just by watching, I'm able to save time. But plus we have all these additional tools that we can start to nail down. So if I'm looking at this house in question, obviously the path is showing me people showing up here. The heat map is showing me how many people are going here. But if I also want to start nailing things down, maybe based off of other information, I also have all the additional analytical tools on the right side here. So we have time range that we can choose from. Our class is going to be if we're choosing man, woman, or child to search on, two-wheeled vehicles, bicycle or motorcycle, different types of cars, illumination change to be lights on, lights off. And then we also got personal attributes, which we can start to nail down even more for individuals, which would be based off of, long sleeve or short sleeve, what color their top is. Same with the bottoms, so pants or shorts and what color, hat, no hat, face mask, and then bags. We can also search on color, for example. So another thing to kind of point out here, as I understand it, there was a individual that was showing up daily or every couple days with a big giant yellow bag. The assumption is that that bag is full of something that they're selling. So even if I do a search on color and I search a yellow, just based off the color yellow, I can see one of the first things that normally pops up on this search is a person walking across the street into this house with a big giant yellow bag. So I can see a yellow bag right here. Open this up. Looking a little sketchy going in. Big yellow bag. Now, if I wanted to be able to do a similarity appearance search on this over the course of time, like let's say that we had, a week of video loaded in here, or 2 weeks of video loaded that we were searching on, I'd be able to then look at every time that this person came in with that big yellow bag. In this case, we only have 1 day of video, so we only see them on here one time. But pretty quickly able to narrow down just based off, just the yellow search. Which you'll see here because I've searched yellow. Now I can also look at every event that's happened across all these cameras that has yellow in the video. I'm also able to search on size, speed, dwell periods, direction that people are going, proximity to other items, similarity appearance that I showed you a little bit, but I'll show you a little bit more here. Facial recognition to be able to search on individuals. So if I wanted to be able to search on this particular person right here, then I'm able to bring up every time he's been on camera. Same thing with license plate recognition. So we can go off of a plate that's in the video, add a plate, and then be able to search again forensically on that particular vehicle with that one. That's the only time that that one showed up. So for examples, I'd have to find maybe one that had multiple hits on it. But in most cases, we're probably going to see only one car per day on this particular video, unless it's a repeat incident here. But So a little bit more about the similarity appearance here. So I'll give an example right here. Maybe this woman with this bag. So I can take appearance similarity, search on her, and then it's going to bring up, oh, give me 1 second here. Okay, so there we go. So now I've done an appearance similarity search on this particular woman, so I can see her in 3 of these videos here. But I also get like a hit because somebody else is wearing a white top and carrying a bag. So it bases off of, other parts other than just the yellow bag. So in a case here, we also see this one with a child. So you're going to have particular, little bits that are going to be able to get hits that maybe don't match up exactly right because it's just going off of a few bits of what we would consider that appearance similarity. And, basically at that point, that's like ultimately like the main way that we would utilize this. So you can start to nail everything down, but one of the big advantages here is that you have the ability to add this to any camera. So because it's a server-based analytic tool, even if you've got analog cameras that don't have any kind of analytics built into them, they aren't IP, not a problem. You're able to still use those cameras. Because at this point you've basically fed those video feeds into the server, and now you get that condensed video to search on. And then, so this is a particular case with law enforcement case, so we have some ideas of what they were searching on, but there's other ways that this can be utilized. So we can look at like a situation like a retail location, for example. Even if I wanted to start with something as simple as being able to take, maybe they wanted to take a week's worth of video and be able to view all of that, I can do an activity heat map, and I can see, if I was a manager and I was trying to do, some ideas of how we have our floor plan laid out, I can see right now that this area, this display is not getting any activity. Nobody's standing here looking at these shoes. This probably has got something going on that is not helpful to sell this product. So I would be able to look at that and then be able to make some changes to my floor plan. I can do things, with dwell periods. So where are people spending the most time? So this is definitely where we get the most activity in this area of the store. Got some extra activity where people are just kind of sitting here. So if we didn't have, any activity on these, maybe we would decide that we want to get rid of those chairs. We can also search on path. So this will kind of show us like the main ways that people navigate through the environment. And so basically it gives us an indicator of, where the most activity is happening. So these are just a couple additional ways that we'd be able to use it for like maybe operational side of things. Outside of that, you do have the option to be able to do, utilize this in a retail environment for like shoplifting, things like that. So if you see somebody that you put on your radar that you would need to do facial recognition and see every time they've come in, or similarity appearance every time they've come in, if you're watching video over the course of, a week or two or even a month long that you fed in, now you can start to nail down everything based off of just, the clips that we have here. And so that's just another kind of case for like a retail environment, but there's multiple cases that we have here. So city planning can be another one, being able to search on, somebody here. So like if we have a missing person situation, I can even start to go off of things like I can say that we're looking for, we had a report that a woman that was wearing a blue shirt, and I can see any video that pops up here. And then if this was the person that we were looking for here, we'd be able to then say, okay, when was this person last seen? What time did this happen? What direction were they going? And then we can be able to take video like that and supply that to the police if that was going to help with their investigation. And then there's one other one I'd like to show you here. This is a good example of kind of direction. So this would be for like traffic violations and then some city planning. So this is a 15-minute time frame here. And, we've got a lot of U-turns that are happening on this particular turn right here, which is, causing backups with the oncoming traffic this direction. And so, if it was a matter of being able to figure out how often that's happening, just drawing a path here would then be able to show that within that 15 minutes, we had 35 times that we had a turn right there. And so we're able to now see every single one of these. If we were in law enforcement and we wanted to be able to grab these license plate numbers, we would be able to then also grab license plate number, add this plate to our searching, and then be able to search on that plate if we were looking for more plate searches across the cameras. So yeah, let me kind of show you here. Let me go back to a case. Let me see if I can think of a good one to look at. So again, we've got a face that we've loaded in here that we want to search on. And so if I do facial recognition here and hit apply, now I'll be able to see any video associated with this person. So here's the guy that we're looking for in question. Looks to me that we only have one main hit on him. Yeah, just this one video with that particular individual. But any others, any facial recognition that we search on, with this particular gentleman here, yeah, so we should be able to do that at the main entry point on the case, where all of our cameras are at. So if I do facial recognition here, so now I'd be able to see any video across any of the different cameras with this particular person. Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know that we're going to have any that are going to pop up. They're going to be across multiple cameras in this case. Like, I think we're only, for the most part, going to see a lot of these unless I found a particular example of that, which I don't know off the top of my head. But yeah, it would show up across every different camera that they could be on. So if this person, like, this isn't just pulling from just this camera, this would also be pulling from this camera and this camera. If they were on this street and then went to this, went to this street and then went to this convenience store, that would all show up here. So yeah, it's able to be searched across all cameras. Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, the general idea here that I would say is just a lot of ways to be able to use these analytics. Different environments are going to have different requirements for the way that you'd use it, but city planning can even go down to something as simple as looking at a road and figuring out where you want to do crosswalks and doing a heat map and just seeing where people are naturally crossing the most. And if that's the place that people are naturally crossing, maybe it makes sense to be able to do a crosswalk right there. If you've got congestion that's happening in a certain spot and you go off of your heat mapping, that's a way to be able to say, okay, well, this is clearly like one of the problem areas on this road. And then you can do the same thing, like I said, in that retail environment where you're able to say, okay, where are we getting the most activity? Where we have people just completely ignoring within our floor plan. And then, all the way down to being able to narrow down specifically a person that might be walking into a drug house with a giant yellow bag full of drugs. And again, I mean, I think that it just is a matter of how you are utilizing it. And what I mean by that is that, like we discussed previously, is if you're going to have, a smaller number of cameras, and then you would like to be able to get that video, back to you within 5 minutes, or within 3 minutes, or whatever it is that you want to be able to get that video. It's going to be based off of the server itself, and the processing power for the server. But in some cases, you might be able to say like, hey, we're going to take, we want to look at video for the last week. We don't need it until tomorrow for us to search through. They start the upload, and let the server do its work overnight, and they come back and they got a video that they're able to search on the next day. So everyone's needs are going to be different with this, and then how fast they're going to need the video is going to be really based on the server side of it.